Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Messages, even though I really want to get this out to you as soon as possible. So I'm probably releasing this sooner than Sunday. But I know how much all of you have missed me so much. And I wanted to actually share with you my intention for 2021 regarding this podcast. So there's a lot of things I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be filling you in on some elements of my journey, which I think will really resonate with many of you and will be supportive in whatever you're doing, whatever you're manifesting, whatever direction you're going. I really want to talk about listening to your soul, listening to your intuition, listening to your guidance, because that's a big thing that I'm in the midst of in this moment. And whatever else I feel compelled to riff on, I'm going to do that in this episode. So, the first thing that I want to let you know, because many of you have asked, when is the podcast coming back? When is the podcast coming back? And in reality, I didn't know. I had the intention that it would come back in January, but I didn't make any promises on that. Because I'm going to fill you in on what happened with my living situation and where I'm at now in this process. So that aside, I want you to know that my intention for 2021 is going to be focused on the podcast. Because one thing that I've realized is that podcasting is like my true love. Oh my God, I love podcasting. And even just sitting down to do this feels outrageously good. Speaking is something that's really important to me. Storytelling, communicating, using my voice is such a big part of my work, and I love doing it so much. One of the things that I would like to bring this year is a video podcast. So I do have an editor on my team, and as soon as I get into my new place, I'm going to be getting a setup for video podcasting so you can see my face, and it might have more spice, more flavor. So I'm going to be putting those on the YouTube channel as well. And I am also focused on more storytelling this year. So I want this to be more of a story experience, unless I really feel called to focus on mechanics. I don't think I'm ever going to move away from energetic mechanics and energetic engineering. That's my thing. That's my jam. That's where I feel very confident in my understanding of energetic mechanics. So I would just like to make this more experiential for you and kind of carry you along with me in my journey and make this perhaps a bit more personal only after I've fully integrated something, right? So that's the other thing I want to make clear is that I have no intention of like emotionally dumping in the podcast. That's not sexy to me. That's not attractive. I'm not into that. But if I'm fully landed in the messages, if I'm fully integrated here and I can do proper storytelling, I think it would be really powerful, and I'm feeling my soul wanting to do that more on this podcast. So that is the direction of the podcast that I have the intention to do. Yes, I'm going to be bringing prayer and tarot back. Yes, and also if you have submitted a prayer at any point in time and I have not done an episode on that yet, I want you to know that I read every single one and I hold energy for them even if I'm not doing a podcast. So there's still value in submitting prayers, even though I know how much you guys love the prayer episodes, which cracks me up. But they will be coming back. That's something that I love and will be continuing to hold space for. It's important to me. So now that you know what the deal is with the podcast and what my intention is and where it's going, let's dive into some story time. And the last time I did an episode like this, where it was just kind of me riffing about the transformation that I'm undergoing, you loved it. I got a massive response from it. People resonated with it so deeply, and that's why I want to do this more, because it has a massive impact, and even I don't properly estimate just how much of a positive impact it makes. So let's go all the way back. Let's rewind the clock to June of 2020. Now, if you follow along with me on Instagram, you know that I moved into a place. It was amazing, expansive. It was luxurious. I got my dream red velvet couch. I had nice appliances, a gorgeous kitchen. Like, it was ideal. I had a walk-in closet where it also acted as a studio for me to record content and do tarot readings. I mean, it was a great setup in many regards. Now, I knew immediately when I was there that it was a lily pad. It was not a long-term place that I was going to be staying. I felt that in my bones. I knew that I would be leaving. However, I did fully intend on completing my lease, right? I moved in there saying, okay, I'm going to honor this lease. I made this commitment. I'm going to be there for a year. And that's the end of it. Like nothing major. I did not expect anything major to happen. Now, my dear, dear Virgo moon is one of those placements that I have where I feel compelled to document everything. So anytime there's an error, anytime there's any type of blip or snag in my environment, I document it, right? Because I'm not the owner of the property, or anytime there's an issue with a neighbor, I just document it so that I have proper documentation in case anything happens. This is just something that I have as a practice of mine because documentation is power, in my opinion. Having data, having the information on hand is something that I feel is very important just for my own sense of security in all ways, shapes, and forms. Now, I might be more intense and adamant about this than the average person, okay? So I know this is not the path for everybody, but every time something happened in the 6 months that I was there, I would document it. I would send an email, not necessarily as a complaint, but just, hey, I need you to be aware of this happening in the space, or hey, there's this issue that likely needs to be taken care of regarding the plumbing and whatever. So at first it was just little things. It was just tiny, minor inconveniences that really weren't a big deal. And it's like livable. You know what I mean? Like it's, okay, this is life, breathing through it, no big deal. Over time, I started to grow the content that I wanted to put into the world. I felt a greater demand in what I wanted to do in terms of classes, in terms of, just material and content and filming and all of this stuff. And I was experiencing this feeling of suffocation with the environment. And I felt myself and my business rapidly growing and expanding. So I mean on all levels, in terms of what I wanted to offer, as well as the money that I was making. And I just woke up to the realization, like, I can do better. I can do more. I can make more money. I can get into a better place. I can do all of these things. I have that capacity. I feel myself like I'm in a cage and I want to just burst out of it because I've evolved so much. So fast forward to Thanksgiving. Now, normally I'm not a big holiday person. I would like to get out of every holiday if I can. I would rather just spend time by myself, watch some movies, eat some food, cook for myself, enjoy the time, make it very, very chill, very relaxed. However, this year I felt that it was important for me to go to my grandmother's house. Now, if you know me, that's extremely abnormal. And as a matter of fact, what's even crazier is my grandmother called me the day before I was supposed to go up there. And she said, I would understand if you didn't want to come over for Thanksgiving, if you don't want to deal with any family. And she completely gave me an out in the situation for the holiday. And I still felt I need to go. Like, I need to go to Thanksgiving at her house. Couldn't tell you why, just felt that. So the family gathering is extremely small. I have a very small family, but my uncle is there. And I was just telling him that I'm looking to move. I'm just scoping out different places. And I described the area that I had imagined in my head. And he said, oh, you should try this town. I'm obviously not going to tell you what town it is, but he said you should look into this area. So I immediately got on Zillow and I saw this house that was the exact price that I wanted in a gorgeous area. And I was like, that's it. That's exactly what I imagined in my mind. And so going to Thanksgiving, the only, I guess, intuitive hit, the reason why that was even there was so I could talk to my uncle, have a conversation, and get clear on this geographical spot so I could locate that. So that was number one. The Sunday after Thanksgiving, I just impulsively, I was like, you know what? I feel like I should go for a drive today and I should go check out that house. So I drove to the house. Beautiful neighborhood, magical, absolutely. You know what I described it as? It reminded me of Wisteria Lane from Desperate Housewives, minus the murder and scandal. Okay, so it just had that dreamy vibe without all of the chaos and busyness and everything. So it was like a pocket of paradise. I just loved it. And I called up the realtor and he was like, hey, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll show you the house. So we go in, check it out. It's everything that I've asked for. It's the number of bedrooms. All appliances are included. It's a gorgeous white kitchen. It has a backyard that only has shrubs, which means there's no lawnmower, which I'm a big fan of. No leaf blowing, no lawnmower, and the gardeners were only there once every other month. It was perfect. It was perfect. So then I went home. I wasn't sure if I qualified for it because I know it sounds crazy, but I wasn't actually keeping track of how much money I was making. I was just making money. I knew it was increasing. I knew I was making more and more every month, but I didn't actually know the exact numbers. So when I got home, I was not expecting to qualify, and then my heart exploded when I realized that I overqualified for the property. So I was ecstatic. I was absolutely over the moon. I then realized, oh my God, I can afford this. Like, I can even afford more than this with the amount of money that I was making. So I applied to the property, and bear in mind, I'm still on the hook for my current apartment for the next 7 months. I still had another 7 months on that lease. And I decided that I was going to terminate the lease anyway. So my last day was supposed to be January 31st. And I turned in my notice. I did not have a place locked in. I had this application out. It ended up getting denied. But the thing is, when you pay to terminate a lease, you can't get out of it. So when you say, I'm going to leave, I'm going to terminate this, and I'm paying to terminate it, you can't back out. You can't say, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't actually have a place lined up, blah, blah, blah. You can't do that. So I just committed to jump. I was like, I cannot stay here anymore. I can't bear it. I can't take it anymore. So I knew that I was going to be out by January no matter what. That was a commitment that I already made. So right after this, I recognized, the listing was taken down. My application for the house was denied, as I mentioned. And I found another house in the same area for the same price, with the same bedrooms, the same number of bathrooms, and a pool. This gorgeous pool with a spa. And I was like, holy shit, like this is also available. So then I was like, forget the other place, forget Dream House 1. This is Dream House number 2. And then I didn't actually get a chance to apply for that one. It got snatched up immediately. Okay, so then I'm holding this space for a house with a pool. That's my new expectation. That's the desire. That's what I want. I'm very clear on that. Oh my God, fantasies of having a pool and a spa. That is absolutely what I have my energy behind at this point in time. Now, that one got taken away, and then another one appeared. This one was in a different area, but it had a very similar vibe to the neighborhood. I went and checked out the house. It not only did it have a pool, it had a view. So it had everything that I wanted. It had a pool, it had a spa, it had the same bedrooms, same number of bathrooms, and it was overlooking the hills. So you could see all these neighborhoods. It was gorgeous, okay? It was like on the side of a cliff. Now, I should have trusted my gut on this, because one thing that I noticed within myself is that all I wanted was the pool at that point in time. When I walked into the house, I was just like, oh my God, that backyard, like that back space with the pool and everything, and the shrubs and the flowers and the view, that is all I could focus on. In reality, I could feel in my body that I didn't actually like the house inside. I didn't like that it was a twin home. I didn't like the interior. I thought the carpet was gross. You know, there were other things that I didn't like, but I was starting to feel a little bit of pressure to get a house, right? Like I am not going to have a place to live very soon, so I should probably apply and see what happens. The application gets denied again. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't worry about it, because all I wanted was the pool. Okay, let's just be honest. That's where I was at. So all of my applications are getting denied. All the houses that I like are getting taken off. Okay. Now, I know that many people at this point would start freaking out. They would start panicking. They would, say, oh my God, I'm being punished. I shouldn't have done this, blah, blah, blah. When you jump, when you're a good jumper, which I am very practiced at this. I know the net is there. I have absolutely no doubt, no fear in my body that the net is there. It is absolutely certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that I'm getting into a house. It's not a question. It's not a maybe. It's not anything like that. It is an absolute certainty that the house that I'm an energetic match for is available to me and will come to me, and all of the resources that I need in order to make this a reality are coming. So there's no desperation in my energy. It is 100% trust, confidence, and conviction. The only reason why I'm holding this so well is because there have been so many times when I've quit a job in a fiery rage, when I've been in between, series of clients, when I've had to move out of places on a whim, right? This has happened many times in my life. So that is one thing that I know a lot of people listening probably struggle with, is the trust piece. Like, is the net going to be there? But in reality, if the worst case scenario isn't actually that bad, if you can handle the worst case scenario, then jumping is worth it, in my opinion. Because I knew in my heart, in my soul was saying, get the fuck out of that apartment. Get out. Your time is up. It's done. The other interesting thing that happened was that even though I already gave my 60 days, I already had the intention of moving out. That was already done. I signed the papers. I made the commitment to do that and to have all of my stuff out. Despite doing that, my living situation got worse. It wasn't just all of the things that were going wrong early on and that I'd been keeping track of. It started to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where I was in tears being there. I could hardly handle it. I couldn't even sleep in my own bed. My nervous system, my adrenals were shot. It started to get really bad. And so, of course, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm already moving. Like, hello, God, I'm already listening. I'm already doing what's right. I've already made the decision and the commitment. Why do I feel like I'm getting pushed out sooner? So one day, I'm in a really sour mood, and I'm just livid. I'm distraught, I'm angry, I'm upset. It's like there's no amount of processing I can do to experience relief because I'm being bombarded with environmental stuff that I feel like I can't control and I can't sleep in, and I can't feel any peace. It was getting to that level. And so I decided that I was going to write something and outline every single thing that I've been experiencing for the last 6 months, basically. And I made this very much known to the people who were in charge of the property management. And I even asked, I said, I don't know how it's possible for you to be in business because there are some legal things that I am entitled to as a renter that you are failing. So things like not having access to running water was a problem. Not having a secure mailbox was a problem. There are these things that I know my legal rights to. And so I brought this to their attention. This got the attention of the district manager, who then offered to pay me to leave. Now, when we talk about the energy of money or the energy of getting paid, this is what I mean. So anyone would tell you that an apartment complex or any type of property management company doesn't want to let people out of leases. They certainly don't want to give you money back. They want to hold on to every penny that they get. I don't experience life that way. One of the things that I am very firm on is that people love to pay me. People love to give me money. And I've been working with this mantra for a really long time. I'm really practiced at this. And I want people, not only in business, but in life in general, I want people to experience a loving, enjoyable, pleasurable frequency and experience as there's an energetic transaction and exchange with me. It's something that I weave into my patterns when I'm paying people, so I get a lot of joy and fulfillment and happiness from paying people or buying big packages or paying healers to support my mental health, my emotional health, my energetic health, my physical health. I do my best to really weave this into every energetic transaction that occurs in life for me. So I do strongly advise, if you want that experience, and I've had it, if you were in Money Magic, you know that I talk about like getting paid by insurance companies, having my ambulance bill magically disappear for no reason other than they just said, oh, never mind. That's a form of people loving paying me. That's that energetic pattern of people giving me money. So I strongly recommend it. I strongly advise it because it shows up in more ways than just an employer or a client. It's more than that. So once I got this offer, where my energy is already behind the house, right? But on a deeper level, my energy is behind peace and relaxation. So it doesn't have as much to do with the house, even though that's the goal, right? That's the whopper, that's the big manifestation. Because I also have the intention that the house that I move into is going to be a place that I can stay long term. Now, because I have this in the back of my mind, I want the home to be the right home. I'm not going to just move into a place for the sake of moving into a place, because I'm not in that position. I have myself in a financial position where I feel very good about having a lot of flexibility and wiggle room in what I'm able to do. And I don't feel pressure at all. So my focus was, how can I bring myself the most peace? How can I bring myself the most relaxation, the most luxury right now? What is the most beneficial decision in this moment for what I want to experience? And a couple things came to mind. I was like, oh, I could do an Airbnb. So I started looking into Airbnbs, and I really did not like any of the options in my area. They didn't feel good. I thought, well, maybe I could like take a vacation. I could go somewhere, but then I was like, no, I need to stay in the area that I want to look for houses in so I don't have to drive a long way if I find the right house. I pondered the idea of staying with a friend or staying with family. Family was a big no for me. My body was like, absolutely not. We're not available for that. Staying with a friend, same thing, not available for that. And then I landed on a hotel. Now, the crazy thing about this jump is that it is completely irrational in every way, shape, and form. Okay? So what logic and reason would tell you, what a masculine timeline would tell you is you can't do that, because if you do that, you're going to be spending money and you should be saving that for your next home. You shouldn't be spending that amount of money because you need to store that away. You need to restrict yourself. You need to just suck it up. Take the less comfortable option in favor of, this amount of money, because if you do that, you're going to lose it. Now, I'm completely aware of this. This is also happening in my mind, right? I'm not saying this is a hypothetical. I'm saying this as I had that thought as well. And this is completely in a certain way, this is uncharted territory for me, because what happened as I was making this decision is this is on the heels of me spending more in terms of business investments and personal growth than I ever have in my entire life. So in the month of December, I spent probably, I believe it falls between $5,000 and $6,000 on business investments in cash. Okay. So I'm not taking out lines of credit, not anything like that. I am paying people cash to support me in my business. I just got into this really awesome, expansive, badass mastermind that I promised myself I would get into the next round of. So that was another commitment that I was making financially. Having to get into this new home. My car lease is about up. Nothing about this, I want to be very clear, nothing about this is rational. Nothing about this is reasonable. I'm at this point where I'm spending, I'm making, receiving, I'm circulating and investing more money than I ever have in my entire life. And on top of all of these investments and this growth that I'm really feeling into, I get the wild idea to go live in a hotel indefinitely. And mind you, the hotel is more than my rent was, right? The mastermind that I'm in is more than my rent was. These are not conventional things that you do. But the thing that matters most to me is energy. And what I know is a moneymaker is frequency, is vibration, is what am I holding in my cells? The cellular energy that you are composed of is what is creative. So constant decision making from a place of contraction, fear, resentment, all of that stuff or desperation and stress is going to lead to that. You're creating that because it's baked into your DNA, right? You're holding your cells, you're contracting again and again and again, and it becomes a practiced state of being. So the direction that I have to push myself in when I'm practicing these things, because keep in mind, I don't just talk about it. I'm not just talking out of my ass telling you, yeah, do this, listen to your soul, and then not doing it myself. This is something that I have to do. And I consider myself to be a leader in the sense that I will go first. I will do the scary thing first. I will jump first. I will go first. And then that is what can support you in your own decision-making process, in your own alignment. Because I can't just talk about it. I have to live and breathe this just as much, if not more. So when we're looking at the mechanics of this, right? The energetic field that I desire in this lifetime is to be big and bold. It's to play full out. It's to go into the depths, the highest heights of what I can achieve and what I can create in this lifetime. I know for an absolute fact that I cannot contract my way into success. So every time I'm up against my edge, like I have been for, however long this process has been going, I have had to look at big, scary things that come up in my mind, in my mental body, the things that are trying to protect me and keep me safe and keep me in rational territory, and instead focus my intention and my energy on what is the energetic pattern that is actually going to serve me in order to expand into a bigger, more badass version of myself. Because that's the only direction that I want to grow in. If I'm regressing, contracting, if I'm listening and believing fear, then I'm just not going to grow. The whole point is you have to look your monsters in the face and say, well, I'm going to go anyway. So this is not for the faint of heart. And more than likely, if you're facing these big decisions, or if you're making big moves, or if you are in the middle of making big investments, it is not comfortable. Okay? Even for me, there's a part of me that is like, oh my God, you are spending so much money. Holy shit, you are absolutely insane. Now, let me be clear. I'm not spending money for the sake of spending money. I'm very intentional with my spending and what it's doing for me energetically, how I'm wielding my money, how I'm using all of these things in my world, right? But let's keep in mind, I started by doing $10 tarot readings. Okay, that is where this story starts. And I was having a very interesting thought the other night. Because one of the things that I know about people is that they often desire to expand. When you are not listening to, one, the desire of your soul, and you're not listening to the guidance and direction that it's giving you, because it's always guiding you, this is what I personally find is a major cause of suffering. So I'm not talking about pain. That is something that you absolutely will experience in life. Having an earth body is a painful experience. Transforming is a painful experience. Going through lessons, experiencing things that are going to integrate wisdom, right? That can come with a lot of pain. Suffering, however, when I think of suffering, I think of denial of the soul. I don't think of transformation. I think of Groundhog Day. I think of your soul is begging you to do something and you're not listening and you're wondering why you're stuck. Suffering is the frequency of denying yourself of sovereignty and empowerment, and that is something that drives me mad. And let me be clear, the reason why it drives me mad is absolutely tied into my own trauma of watching my parents do this to themselves and just make more and more painful decisions over time, just compounding descent into suffering and leading very tortured lives to the point where it freaks me out. Just because that is how they lived. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with that. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm here for. And the utmost compassion if you are in one of those cycles where your soul is screaming at you and you're not listening, right? I honor that experience as well. That is just one of the many soul experiences that can be had in a given lifetime. So my point in saying all of this is that the repeated decisions, whether that be in alignment with your soul or misalignment with your soul, is going to directly correlate with the amount of suffering that you have. This is at least the conclusion that I've come to over time. The less I listen to my soul, the more pain I'm in, the more unnecessary suffering happens. I experience this too, right? When I'm resisting my soul, it causes suffering. When I'm listening to my soul, when I'm listening to whatever you want to call it, your gut, your intuition, your fuck yes, that is actually where energy comes from for me. That's where inspiration, that's where miracles come from. Is fearlessly and unapologetically listening to your soul, listening to your guidance. And I'm sure some of you might need to kind of grease the wheels a little bit on that, whether it be in meditation, through exercise, through whatever it is that gets your brain to quiet down. There's a lot of different ways to access that and unlock that for yourself. But I would be willing to say that many of you probably already know what your soul wants. You probably already know what the desire of your heart is. You probably already know the relationship you need to let go of, the job you need to quit, the move you need to make, the change that needs to happen in your world. Even if you don't know how, the resources will come in, the decision will be made, what the timing will be. More than likely, you already know what your soul is saying. This is at least my experience working with people, is that a lot of the time they already know what needs to be done because the soul always knows. But the brain is very scared of this. It doesn't want you to listen to the soul. It starts freaking the fuck out. It is like you are crazy. And keep in mind, the whole job of the brain is to assess risk. It's supposed to prevent you from doing anything that could potentially inflict harm, right? And it's very difficult to see what's on the other side of making an aligned choice. So the only reason why I can make aligned choices is because I've practiced trusting that I'm going to make the aligned choice. I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to jump. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to put out the content. Right? Or whatever the move was. I'm going to say goodbye to this soulmate. All types of aligned choices have come up over time. And the more familiar you become with feeling the resistance, feeling the fear, listening to your soul, trusting what that is, making the move that is soul-based, the more evidence and the more data you will have of how that pans out. But if you're in the early stages of doing this, you can't see. The only thing that I know for sure is that denying the soul has always led to suffering. It's always led to unnecessary pain. It's always led to prolonged discomfort to an epic degree. And the more aligned decisions that I make that are in alignment with my soul and my truth and my heart, when I'm operating from those places, things go faster. Success is more available. I move through the world in a more graceful way, and things work out. The miracles just start pouring in. And I don't say that lightly. It's like the things just click, because what you have to keep in mind is that I like to think about it as you can imagine that you're on a walk, and all of a sudden you get to this trail, and like it's a beaten path. Right? Like there's this already, you can imagine the trees are parted. It's this gorgeous, epic trail where you can just walk through with ease. You can observe, you can enjoy all of the beauty that nature has to offer, and you can do it effortlessly. Okay? That is the soul path, like your soul giving you instructions and you listening, and it makes it easy. You're not delayed. You don't have to move through any resistance. Really, it's smooth. Or you can dive directly into the woods, have tons of resistance. You can be walking barefoot over rock and thorns, having branches flick in your face as you're trying to walk through the same forest. If you just moved 5 feet over to the right, you would be on that smooth path. You would be walking through the forest effortlessly. No problem at all. It would be like everything is just butter. or you can walk through the thorny, rocky, painful woods. And so a lot of the time, you slow yourself down by choosing the painful path, whereas listening to the soul is where it all opens up. And this is something that I've seen again and again and again working with people, is the even if it's a scary move, right? Even if your mind wants to say, no, go through the painful path, stay there, stay walking over rock and thorns, getting on the smooth path and decreasing suffering is almost counterintuitive, because there's a collective paradigm that exists that speaks of pain and suffering being a metric of success, or working and stressing and agonizing being a metric of success. And let me just reiterate this point. Keep in mind, I'm not talking about pain. That path that I'm talking about, where everything is smooth and happening faster and being more effortless, it doesn't mean there isn't occasionally a boulder that you need to climb over. It doesn't mean that there might be a steep hill where it's really, really, your quads are on fire as you're trying to make your way up this hill. It doesn't mean that the path is free of pain. Pain is what gives definition to pleasure. So the deeper you can feel into pain, the deeper you can feel into pleasure. That is something that I have truly found to be a gift in my life, is when I feel into either the bouts of anxiety or depression or purposelessness, or all of the turbulence and the storms that happen within me, not only from trauma, but from, things that might capture my mind or suck me into despair. That is actually what takes me deeper within myself. The stuff that brings me to my knees has really been the portal to, I hate to say it, but like meeting God. That's typically where I come out on the other side. Now, I'm not saying that I'm available for that 24/7. No, but I honor the periods of time when that experience happens. I think about it as being more ceremonial, like it is an initiation of sorts. And that is where the breakthrough often happens, is when you're on the edge of fear, when you're on the edge of pain, when you're on the verge of giving up, when you're in deep darkness and unknown space. Because a lot of the time, pain is the unknown, right? It's I'm in discomfort. I don't know where this is going to lead, or I'm so uncertain and terrified, and my entire body feels like it's just being taken over by the unknown, and it pushes you into deep surrender and trust. That's where the relaxation and the grace comes from. Trusting the soul when you get to that tipping point of, I have no choice but to trust and surrender. Again, this is, I know I've had people tell me that surrender is scary because some people have bastardized the term. But what I'm saying, surrender to your soul, this is from a place of high integrity and discernment. This is not surrender to something someone else is telling you. This is about to yourself, to your own truth, to your own guidance, to what you know to be best, right, and true for you, not anything else that anyone is telling you to do. This is something that comes from within. This is an internal journey and practice. So anyway, I'm saying all of this in the hopes that you're able to look at your own experience with the unknown, with the desires of your heart, your soul nudging you in the right direction. I'm hoping that you can see this through a new lens rather than contracting when you're feeling into that. The contraction can be a part of it too, but if you're in a chronic pattern of just caving to the uncertainty, or caving to the discomfort, caving to the fear, caving to the contraction, then ultimately that's going to lead to unnecessary suffering, right? The denial of your soul is what's going to just make it more and more uncomfortable, in my experience. So you can cut a lot of that out, and it is like ripping off the Band-Aid time and time again, we have to get up against that edge and just rip it off. Even though it's scary and it might hurt and you don't know what's going to be under that Band-Aid, but you just do it again and again. And trusting your soul, right? That you're only surrendering to yourself. You're only surrendering to God, universe, divine source, whatever you like to work with. That's actually where the surrender is happening. It's not to a narcissistic cult leader. It's not to a program. It's not to anything like that. This is all from your own integrity and your own heart space. Well, might I just say this podcast episode really went in some directions I was not expecting, but I hope that all of that landed for you or made sense and you got some solid nuggets of wisdom out of that. And remember that it really does not matter where you're starting. At any point, your soul is always giving you instructions. It's always giving you directions. And think about it as your soul is your connection to the universe, to God, to your path, always. Always. The path is always there. It's never not there, even if you're experiencing being way, way out of your zone, feeling way off, going through a really intense healing portal. The soul is always there. It's always offering you wisdom and guidance, and it's always giving to you. It's there for you to contact at any point in time. And like I mentioned, one of the first moves that I made was offering $10 tarot readings. Like, that is legitimately the place that I started. And it does not matter where you're starting. And now I'm making major moves. I'm playing in very large amounts of money now, which is epic and fun and wild. It's completely insane that I'm here. Oh, I didn't mention this, but now that I'm saying this, I'm remembering. 2 days after I came to the hotel, right? I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm in this hotel. I had a mastermind call the next day, and then the following day was my biggest day in business ever. I made more money in one day than I did in a month, like 6 months prior. So the way I view this, aside from, yes, of course, I'm on top of my money work. I'm on top of my energy. I'm on top of my decision making. But on a deeper level, the way that I see that is basically encouragement from God, right? It's kind of like, okay, I'm on that path where it's already cleared for me. I'm listening to my soul. I'm trusting that, even if it's hard. And that's the reward. That's like, yes, this is the smoother path. This is the more aligned course of action. And here's the proof. So the thing is, you have to do the aligned thing first, and the proof follows. You're not going to get the proof as you're contracted and cowering in fear. And so remember, the evidence will compound when you take enough jumps, but you have to be willing to jump first. And that is where all of your data comes in. And I want to be clear, not all of you are going to be, I'm going to terminate my lease and move into a hotel. That is not the right move for everybody. That just happened to fit my specific set of circumstances. But for you, I'm sure there's something that needs a deeper level of alignment and trust in your life. So some questions to ask yourself. What frequency are you claiming right now? What's the energy that you're holding right now? How are you making your decisions? Like, what's running through your mind as you're making decisions? Because that'll tell you a lot about the energy that you're playing from. Ask yourself what your decisions tell you about the energy that you're playing in. Because that's another way to really get a good look at what's happening for you. Where are you at energetically? Where are you playing in the field, in the quantum? Now, you know that I have a deep resonance with the field of luxury, with that frequency. And it's something that I've played with in all different ways, right? So fresh flowers for me. I even bought some even though I'm in a hotel. Buying myself fresh flowers is a frequency of luxury. Now, the big move, of course, is like being in a hotel. This is, I'm claiming, I'm owning and holding the field of luxury, of being fully supported, taken care of. Having my room cleaned every week, right? Having these luxurious elements to being in this space, having the king size bed. These are things that, for me, this is what makes my money. Playing in this field of more than enough, excess, there's always more. I'm divinely supported and guided and protected in all ways, shapes, and forms. These are things that I've been practicing for a long time. But when I'm thinking about the field and frequency of luxury, that's what I'm holding as I'm making my decisions and as I'm making my moves. You may know the story of the velvet couch, right? I always wanted a red velvet couch. It was my dream couch, and it actually took a lot of emotional processing and working through a lot of what I call mental mold in order to fully receive that item, because it was a massive financial anchor to me to have that fabric, that level of luxury in my life. And there have been many, many things that I've done over time. And I want to be clear, it's not just about the material. It's also about the type of healers that I work with. It's also about the type of groceries that I buy. It's also the mastermind that I'm in. It holds the frequency of luxury. That is what the woman who's holding that container, she baked that into the mastermind itself. That's the frequency that she plays in. So every move that I'm making is in alignment with that luxury frequency, even if it's the most teeny tiny itty bitty element of my life. It could be like what kind of underwear I buy. I want it to be infused and dripping with luxury. That is the intention that I hold in the moves that I'm making. Now, maybe luxury isn't your thing. That's totally fine if it's not. It is mine. It is something that I feel very strongly about. I'm going to do a more in-depth podcast on that because I want to give you more tidbits and pieces of magic on that. And also, one of the things that I am learning about my audience is that you love when I talk about luxury, when I talk about money, when I talk about manifestation of beautiful things and being able to really be in that, play in that field. And so I want to bring more on that level to you. So that being said, I know that some of you have already seen this on Instagram, but I just want to let you know that I have opened the doors to Lux Magnetism, which I didn't even realize how badly you guys wanted this. But because I am in the middle of manifesting money, a house, a car, all of these amazing things in the realm of luxury, in that frequency, I decided to open up the doors to you being able to spend the entire month of February with me when it comes to mastering and embedding luxury frequencies in your body. So if you're used to like doing a Joe Dispenza meditation, but you kind of get lost, like, okay, I'm out in the quantum, now what? If you're getting to that point, or if you're having trouble embodying the feelings of luxury, wealth, those codes and programs, if you're having a challenge doing that, I've created Lux Magnetism, which is really about solidifying those in your body, in your frequency, in your field. So we're going to be spending 3 days a week together. The sessions are going to last for an hour. So this is big, big, big transformational work, really claiming that frequency for yourself and playing big. So this entire course is all meditation quantum. Okay, so you're exclusively going to be working with frequencies, and we're going to be doing that together throughout the entire month of February, and you're getting a lot of time with me. So if you feel compelled, you are welcome to go to the show notes. The link is in there, or you can go to onyxhealing.com/luxe, LUXE -magnetism. And hopefully I will see you beautiful souls there. We're going to have a blast, and yeah, that's all I've got. But you are invited. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@onyxhealing.com. And I am so excited. I'm so freaking excited for each and every one of you who is going to be in that container. You blew me up on Instagram. Holy shit. I could not even believe how many messages I got with your guys' excitement and eagerness to dive in. And I'm absolutely honored to be holding space for this. So I've been going for almost an hour, so I think we should wrap it up here. But more podcasts to come. My mojo is back. I'm so energized to be able to give all of this to you. And have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful week, everybody. And more will come soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.